Hi English 102 online students. Welcome to week 7 of our course. Hard to believe but we're approaching the midterm of the semester already, and you've got your first essay assignment under your belt already. So that should make us all feel pretty good, I think. And we'll go ahead and start week 7 by looking at course information. I think this is always a great place to start each week. We'll look at the course calendar and go ahead and get a sense of where we are and where we're headed to. Okay, so as this opens up, we'll head down to week 7. So you'll see the assignments that are due this week are all in Module 4. We're finishing up that module this week, and we'll be doing assignments 4.3, 4.4, and 4.5. This week is really where we're going to get our feet wet with research. Trying to make research kind of an approachable task, something that we can even enjoy doing. I remember when I was an undergraduate, when I was in my first year of college, I used to be so freaked out by going to the library, and things were a little different 20 years ago when I was a college student. Things were beginning to become electronic, like databases and stuff like that, but there was still a lot of print materials and it was kind of in between, so sometimes it could be a little bit complicated to find what you needed. I think with all the digital formats of everything that we have nowadays, it's really great. It makes the research process a lot easier. Okay, so we'll go into actually the announcements area, and we'll go through the announcement that you're about to receive tonight, Sunday, the 27th of September. So you'll see here that I give you a little summary about what you learned in the past week. So you learned about research topics, about research questions. By now you should have posted some topics in the discussion forums, some questions in the discussion forums. Hopefully you learned the difference between a research topic and a research question. And you got some feedback on both of those things. A research topic is just, the topic that you want to find out more about. The question is where you really start to dig into that topic. What is it that you exactly want to know about that topic? And that's where you start to look for information. So you've got a topic, you ask questions about that topic, you might even form a hypothesis about that topic, and then from there you go out and start to look for information. In those discussion forums this week, I will also be responding and giving you my own feedback about the topics that you've selected and the questions. And hopefully that's going to help you kind of narrow things down this week as you start to look for information and get more familiar with library resources. So this week you're going to be working on 3 assignments, all of which are due by Sunday, October 4th by 11:59 p.m. And you'll of course see this video posted in the Module 4 folder where you can learn about these assignments. So the first assignment, 4.3, is evaluating sources in academic research. So as you head into all these places where you can look for information, whether it be the internet, library databases, the catalog of books at the library, you might be looking at YouTube videos, you might be considering documentary films. There are lots of different resources out there that can contribute to a well put together research paper. And we want to consider all of them because we have so much available to us nowadays. So you'll learn about some different types of sources that you might consider. You'll learn about the difference between popular and scholarly sources. You'll gain some experience using Academic Search Complete. That's one of the most popular databases for academic research that we have here at Lander. And you'll learn how to evaluate the quality of resources for academic writing. So when you go into My Classroom, and we'll go into the modules area, and then down to Module 4. Okay, as you see, getting into assignment 4.3, the first document that you see attached there is one that you will refer to as you work through the second attached document. So this relates to the first question on the second attached document. You're going to be looking at this chart and kind of considering what you think are the differences among these different sources. So it's a kind of like a continuum from popular to sources that kind of fall in the middle to scholarly sources like the library or databases or Google Scholar academic journals. Okay. The second attached document that you see there is a document that kind of walks you through various ways to consider academic resources. So you'll see question number 1 asks you to explain the difference between popular and scholarly sources, which ones would be useful for academic research, which ones might not be. In assignment 4.2, as it tells you in number 2, you'll think back to that video that you watched called Choosing Search Terms, and that's where you started to think about research questions. So thinking back to that video, you may even need to go and rewatch it and reconsider some of the search strategies explained there. I'm actually going to have you now go to the database Academic Search Complete, and here I explain how you can find it. And once you're signed into Academic Search Complete, you'll need to have an Open Athens account for that. You may already have one created from a link class or maybe from English 101, but this was actually updated over the summer. There was a different way of signing into databases previously, but now we need to have this Open Athens account. It's easy to create one. It kind of walks you through it right there on the library webpage. Okay, so once you're in Academic Search Complete, you'll conduct 2 different searches using different keyword combinations, just like you learned about in that Choosing Search Terms video from assignment 4.2. So here, to answer number 2, you'll just write a short paragraph describing which keyword combinations you used, the number of results you got, and what kind of sources you found. So hopefully you're going to start to collect some resources from your searches. If you do find good articles, useful articles, go ahead and email them to yourself. Save them on a folder on your computer, or open up a sticky note on your computer desktop screen and start to collect some links if you need to do it that way. Sort of establish a system that works for you. That way you can go back and look at these articles again and see if they're useful to you. Then in number 3, you're going to go to this site. It actually is from Earlham College, I believe, to find out more about evaluating sources using something called the CRAP test. I know it sounds really attractive, but it actually is a pretty useful acronym. So I'll just have you watch a video that's on that page, look at the chart that they provide you with that explains each of the letters and what it stands for, and you'll just answer those questions there that help give you some criteria in mind as you evaluate sources that you find online. Once you've finished inserting your answers to these questions, all you'll need to do is go back, click on the assignment link, and upload it there. The next assignment you'll move on to in 4.4 is the online library orientation. This is somewhat similar to assignment 4.3, but it goes a little bit more in depth. Okay, so this one actually asks you not just to evaluate different types of sources, but to go and find more of them in specific places, and just to get familiar with what the library has to offer you. Hey, I think each of the questions is pretty self-explanatory. It's asking you to, explore different parts of the library webpage, to find out what services are available to you as an online student. It also directs you to the English 102 subject guide. That page was specifically created by the library staff to help students in English 102 be successful in their research projects, so it's a good page to get familiar with. Let's see, I've also got a couple of videos that I would like you to watch about how to find articles in various databases, not just Academic Search Complete. Also how to use our online catalog to find books here or at other libraries, and also ebooks. They're just as good as printed books. They just happen to be in a different format. And let's see what other good things we have here. Okay, the last thing you'll be learning about is using Google Scholar. So if you haven't used Google Scholar before, this is a wonderful resource to get acquainted with as you do academic research. Yes, regular Google will give you some good sources. You have to, of course, know how to evaluate them, which was the point of assignment 4.3. But if you're looking for truly scholarly sources, Google Scholar is a much better bet. So number 7 includes a link to a video that explains in general how Google Scholar works and how you can do searches using it. In number 8, I have included my own video that I used or that I created to show you how to take sources that you find in Google Scholar, ones that are not linked directly to like a PDF, and how to find those articles in our own databases for free without having to pay for access to those. Okay, so once you've gone through that online library orientation, you should be well set to be able to do research for this class or for any other class that requires research. All right, finally, in assignment 4.5, you will be doing research notes. So as it tells you here in the instructions, you need to listen up very well to this section of the video to know how to complete this assignment. So as it tells you there, by this point in the semester, you should have a good collection of potential sources for your final research paper and other upcoming assignments. So the other upcoming assignments would be the critical response essay, where you will do a critical analysis of an article that is about your intended research topic. You're just going to look at one source. Then you'll move on to an annotated bibliography where you'll assemble about 6 sources and evaluate them in preparation for your final research paper. And then finally, of course, your final research paper. Along the way, your topic may adjust. It may go in somewhat different directions. But the goal here is that we're collecting information and collecting resources little by little. So this research notes assignment is kind of your first step toward taking research questions and putting them together with sources. So that's why last week I had you create those questions, because now you're going to put them into this research notes assignment. The first thing I'll do here is open up this one called Research Notes Coronavirus. And I actually created this back in the spring when this was still a very new topic, and what you'll see here is somewhat old. This topic has definitely evolved since that time, but I think it still gives you a pretty good idea of how the assignment works. So you'll notice across the top that I have 3 research questions. If you only have 1 research question, add 2 more. Okay, and you'll notice the types of questions that I have here. The first one is just establishing what the problem is that I'm researching. What is the novel coronavirus, COVID-19? Why is it such a global health emergency? Okay, I'm just kind of laying the foundation with that question. Research question 2, how can, and I specifically addressed China here because that was the main issue at the time, back in March. How can China prevent the spread of the coronavirus? I think we can now apply this to lots of countries around the world, so that question would definitely need to change if I were researching this topic. And finally, the third research question, what are other countries like the US doing to prevent the spread of this virus? Okay, so you'll notice that down the left side of my chart, I've got various resources. So I have a website, a couple of websites from the CDC. I have a news article from NPR. I have a New York Times website. And then going on to the second page, here I included database sources. So I found a journal article that gave me some background information on related viruses like MERS and SARS. I also found, and that was from Academic Search Complete, I found another article from the Toronto Star, that's actually supposed to be Star, not with a T, which was a newspaper article. And then finally, I found a video in the EBSCO ebook collection database, so you can even find videos in some of these databases where you wouldn't expect to find them. And in that video, I was able to find some good information too. So what I did with this chart is take my questions, and of course I want answers to those questions, so I need to look in my sources to find those answers. So let's say for questions 1, 2, and 3, I was able to find information that answer all 3 questions from cdc.gov. Okay, and I just basically at this time copied and pasted different quotes. I didn't put quotes around them yet. I can always paraphrase later. I could paraphrase now if I wanted to save myself some time. That's really up to you. I just really want you to get kind of the hang of finding information and connecting it to research questions. In the second source, I was able to find information about my first research question. For my third source, I found information about my third research question. So hopefully you're kind of seeing the pattern here, that when you have research questions and you have sources, not every source is going to have an answer for every single research question. Different sources give you different pieces of information. And when you put together a research paper, you're synthesizing all that and bringing it together in one place. So your goal with this research notes assignment is to take your 3 research questions, insert 6 sources, and those 6 sources may very well end up being in your annotated bibliography later in the semester. So this is really, really going to help you with that assignment. If you do a great job on this one, you are 50% of the way there or more for your annotated bibliography, unless you change some sources or questions as you go along. But basically, you can count on filling in about half of these boxes. You do not have to fill in every box to get full credit. I filled in about half, as you'll see, and that is perfectly good for this assignment because, as I mentioned, not every source is going to have an answer for every question. So that's why you look for different sources of information. And even though this might seem like, oh, this is a lot to piece together, I've had so many students tell me in the past that they were so happy to have this document later on in the semester when they were doing those other assignments, like the bibliography and the final research paper, because it collected so many pieces of information in one place, and they were just able to kind of pick and choose and say, oh, this is great, this quote, I can definitely use it, or this paraphrase or this statistic, it's already right here. Okay, so this will really help you lay a lot of the groundwork for later. All right, so that is pretty much everything that we have for this week. As far as the curiosity essays, if you do not see a score there yet or comments there yet, it's on the way in the next day or so. I'm almost through all of them. So, if you have any questions about this week's assignments, please send me an email, drop by my virtual office hours, Wednesday from 2:15 to 4:15, or Friday from 10 to 12. And I look forward to seeing all your work this week. Have a great week.